I think my comment when AMD hit was I said, finally a print that the street likes. Like there was finally a print that, it was the same day, I think, as Microsoft went, and everybody was just throwing up on Microsoft. But it was all, it was all about CapEx. Now Satya got on the call. We'll talk about Satya later, but he kind of recovered a lot of the ground over the course of his call. But AMD, two numbers. So Intel had a 9% growth in client, and AMD grew like 5 times faster in client. So market share gains there, strength in their numbers there. The data center number was huge, and we all know why that is. It's instinct. I mean, NVIDIA is the champion, undisputed, but there is a number two, and the number two in the GPU space is AMD. And so AMD, while there's still kind of some questions on ROCm, questions on the software stack, are people going to use this? There is demand for this, and whether it's been some of these AI clouds that are building up around it, whether it's some of these what I would call the hedges that are being made by the hyperscale cloud providers, not the AI cloud, not the Lambda Lab kind of things, but the actual AI cloud. So the AWSs and the Microsoft, which is where a lot of the AMD is supposed to land. They need an alternative. They really do. The tom-toms on the streets that I'm hearing is, look, everybody knows they have to be beholden to NVIDIA in many ways. And it's the champion, undisputed on the product, on the software, on the stack, on the libraries. Having said that, they're all feeling a little bit of the pinch, the margin control, the deal flow, that they just don't have enough control. And so AMD is a very logical second choice. There's a solid roadmap. Can I say I hate the nomenclature? I hate the 325 and 50 and it just, my mind cannot wrap around those numbers. But there's a roadmap. There's clarity of a cadence. So in the data center, there's an absolute strength there. The growth is there. The numbers are there. The margins are there. The customers seem to be there. And there's no one else. Your point about the 500 million, our market forecast shows about the same thing. 300 million last year, about 500 million on Gaudi this year. And so AMD's got that momentum, and no one else is there to compete with it. So the trajectory they're showing and they're on is good. So a lot to like. I won't even touch gaming. That's been pretty beat up. But that has more to do with like, where's that industry go? Where's that going longer term? So I'm going to pass the mic here. Those are kind of my initial comments.
So AMD's quarter was decent. I will say, the stock was about 140 when they printed it, and it was up after the print. I think if it had been at 180, which is where it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think it would have been down. But it wasn't a bad print. So the expectations come down. I think on the good side for them, they're clearly still doing well in their kind of core client and data center businesses. They're still clearly taking share, and those were all good. And again, they did take their AI guidance up. They went from quote unquote more than 4 billion for the year to 4.5. Again, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, 4.5 would not have been enough. I think where things are now, 4.5 at the time at least was enough. So that was all fine. The negatives, and there were a few, would be, look, on the PC side, again, they are significantly over-delivering versus Intel. Intel's calling out channel flush. Again, I've been worried about that. I am worried that AMD's guidance, both their results as well as their guidance, they're guiding for like above seasonal growth for client in the back half on new products. There may be some incremental channel fill that may be incorporated into that guide. I don't know yet. It sort of depends on the share interplay, but it's something to watch, I think. I'd say the non-core is like the embedded business and gaming are quite bad still. Embedded's kind of bottomed, but the recovery isn't as good as they thought. And so numbers next year actually had to come down because of that, as well as like their OpEx going up. Although I'm not going to knock them for OpEx again. Compare and contrast with Intel, I think it's probably good to spend right now if you can. And then finally on the AI guide, the 4.5 billion. Yeah, people believe it's higher than that. And you have to believe it's higher because if it's 4.5, we already know what they did in Q2. You can kind of ballpark what they're sort of suggesting for Q3. It doesn't leave much room for like an exit rate in Q4. So you need to believe it's higher. And it puts more pressure on the expectations for next year because I still think again, after the bloodbath late, I don't know. But I mean, expectations were for them to do like solidly double digits in AI revenues and so double-digit billion in AI revenues next year. So you need a good exit rate coming out of this year. So those are the things I think to watch. But objectively, again, and by the way, in this set of guides, we've had a lot of semi-prints so far. Like there haven't been a lot of good ones. This was more on the better side of the spectrum of what we've seen, I would say, like so far during the season.
Yeah, good analysis, guys. And I guess, it's interesting. In December, I said that their AI number would be 6 billion. Just kind of looking at the puts and the takes.
I don't think I could be wrong, but I feel like if it was going to be 6, they could have said that they would do more than 5.
See, that's not Lisa though. That is not the way that Lisa Sue rolls. I think the way that she wants
swinging before, so I don't know, but you know her better than I do, probably.
Well, it's just I look at look at the itty bitty numbers that came out, and it's this trickle in the way that they want to do that they want to bring that out. I mean, we went from a number in December to January, and then end of Q.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's kind of where, I mean, again, I don't get paid to hit the exact number, but calling that, it seemed reasonable to me that they could hit that, and the only governor would be TSMC, which is the industry's governor.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, we're modeling. I'm at 5 this year and 9 next year, and I think 11 in 2026. So it could be more.
You're safe. You're safe with 5, I think, for sure.
We're at 5 right now for this year.
Absolutely, and with all the downstream FOMO from all the hyperscalers, it's going to happen. So it's interesting on embedded in gaming. I like to look at self-inflicted wounds and market-inflicted wounds. Yeah. And on gaming, I mean, it is absolutely a challenge, with the exception, I do believe there will be new consoles that will come out. We're in the 5th year of that. What's a mystery to me is the gaming cards, where NVIDIA is an absolute
juggernaut. Right? Yeah.
Juggernaut there. And embedded, listen, look at Altera, look at Lattice. They're both
they were all over earning during COVID, and it's inventories. And look, auto and industrial markets in general right now are not great. Comm infrastructure is not great, and they were all over shipping and over earning. Like us. So there's a bunch you have to work off.
Exactly.
Again, it does look like it's bottom. At least they are looking for growth in the back half. Again, they were less. They're kind of suggesting single-digit sequential for the rest of the year. I think a quarter ago they were suggesting could be double-digit. Intel's still suggesting double-digit for Altera right now. Again, I think that's a mistake, but
yeah. Final comment that I have on this is that I think AMD needs to be looking very seriously of how they can capitalize on the Intel news. And it used to be with the OEMs that AMD was the risky choice, right?
Yeah.
And embedded in that is you throttle your volumes, and you throttle your volumes and the breadth of this. What AMD needs to really think through is how they can capitalize on this in areas like enterprise PCs and enterprise servers.
Yeah.
This is areas where they've been traditionally weak.
Yeah.
And that takes massive marketing and sales investments to get that going. But
they were, by the way, actually talking on the public call about like enterprise server gains, which I know they've been talking about forever.
Yes.
It sounded like they felt that they were a little more real now. And again, I think they said something like 1/3 of our new wins, which is not revenue yet, right? Takes time. They said something like 1/3 of our new wins are new enterprise customers that we've never sold to before. So I don't know how big that is, right? But they were talking about it like more than maybe they usually do.
Yeah, and what you'll do is you'll see that inside of numbers for like Dell and HPE and Lenovo.